All for one, we're not alone. Black and proud, we set the tone. Community chat with Mrs. Jones. Community chat with Mrs. Jones.
Welcome again to Community Chat, the show that celebrates unsung heroes, quiet champions making a difference in their communities. I'm Joan Edgett, the president of the Jamaican American Association of Central Florida, vice president of This is Jamaica, poet and author of the book Still We Smile. Now let's just sit back and relax as we dive into the heart of what makes our communities thrive. It is time for us to chat, share, and be inspired. So join me in welcoming my very special guest, Mrs. Sandra Jerome-Severe. Hello there, Sandra.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is well.
It's wonderful to have you. Miss Sandra is a dedicated educator, a community leader, and a passionate advocate for education and family empowerment. She has over 30 years in teaching and a lifelong commitment to making a positive impact. She will be sharing her very inspiring story, insight, and expertise with us today. From her childhood in Haiti to her journey as a teacher and community leader in the United States, her experiences and perspective offer valuable lessons and is an inspiration to us all. She's also a very good friend of mine. All right, so I'm going to make it easy for you. Your first question is this, Miss Sandra. You've had a remarkable teaching career spanning over 2 decades. What inspired you to become a teacher, and what motivates you to continue making a difference in the lives of your students?
All right. I came here when I was 12, turning 13. So being in junior high school in New York, so it was pretty challenging being an ELL student. So, but throughout high school, I had so many wonderful teachers that stood by me, meaning that if I needed help, they were there. I could go to them, and because they knew I spoke a second language, that they knew there were certain skills that I wasn't up to par. So when I needed extra time, it was there. So and then they didn't let me lack. If I didn't do my work, I got, they will say, and when they call me by my first name and last name, I knew I was in trouble. And then they say, don't make me call your dad because you're supposed to do this. So they were those teachers that had so much interest in me that they
Yeah.
wanted me to do better in school. So they were there to support me. I remembered in high school, I couldn't even read, maybe probably not even first grade level, because remember, I only learned French in Haiti.
Right.
So
Right.
coming to learn English is totally different. And I remember sitting as at a small group table where she would teach me the basic skills, just
Yes.
how to read. And then when I master the basic skills, then the comprehension come in. Then it remind me what I do now with my kids, whether they ESOL, whether they struggling. And I do the same thing and pull them in and meet them on their level. So I had those teachers in high school that really pushed me and it kept telling me you could do it, you got it. And then whatever the grade I got, they say, oh, good for you, I know you could do it. So that kind of thing pushed me to even keep trying because I had somebody to back me up in school.
Wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that you had teachers who helped you and tried to help you to progress and to learn the language and to do well. That's a
Mhm.
wonderful testimony on behalf of teachers everywhere. But I think it's because of your experience, obviously, why you do some of the things you do. So, as an English language learner student yourself, you obviously faced significant challenges in college and school, as you said. How did you overcome? I know you got a lot of help, but what did you do yourself to help you to overcome those obstacles? And what advice would you give to students like yourself today?
It wasn't easy. I'm gonna say it wasn't easy.
Uh-huh.
And then sometimes people think, well, maybe because you ELL, you don't understand the language. You may not be ELL, but you coming from somewhere else, it's a different education system, and you have
Yeah.
to adopt, you know.
Yes.
So it's not easy. So I had a lot of support from home. My dad was constant. He was, make sure that I was on top of things because I was a teenager, so I was responsible for what I need to do. The support was home, so we didn't have all that TV and stuff like that. So I had the encyclopedias. So
Yeah.
my dad pushing me to read the encyclopedia,
Mm.
all 150 books. I needed to find something every day. So I think that helped me knowing that I went to look for things when I'm doing my homework. I had to use the dictionary as my guide. In college, what I did was I um I hired a lot of tutors. So even though I did the work, but for them to, to help me with the way to phrase the sentence, because when I was in school, I had, and I still do it now, I had to think in my home language or French, then put it in English, but it doesn't correlate all the time. So, and then I would write something, and then the tutor would say, and then he would say, what did you mean by that sentence? And then when I say it again, he said, oh, you mean that. So a lot of things that I said and I typed down or I wrote down didn't make sense because I was just thinking how I would say it in French or how would
Right.
I say it in Creole. So
Yes.
I did a lot of that. I did a lot when I was in school. I did a lot of teamwork. So I find students who had the same goal as me and I pair up with them. And I say, well, do you mind if I join you? And, so I pull myself away. So the way they did their research, I followed and I asked questions. So those kind of things really helped me through. I
Yes.
didn't do it alone. I didn't do it alone. I find friends, I find teachers, I find group work. When the group work came, I was part of it because I know having a couple of people who speaks English or who had the experience of couple classes will help me know better. No, Sandra, that's not the way you do it. This is
Yeah.
what we want. This is what we want. And that's what helped me when I was in college or high school. It was all that teamwork, working with the friends that was similar, that had the same goal as I did. Because
Yes.
working with someone that has a different goal than you wants to hang out, because don't get me wrong, we did the hang out, we did, but not when it came to my schoolwork. When it came to my schoolwork, we had it down.
Yes.
I had the right friends.
Exactly. And your father was very strict, which in
Oh,
your case
yes.
worked out because having you read the encyclopedia, really?
Yes, I
That's
don't know if you
excellent.
know highlights. If you know
Yes. Yes.
highlights was a big thing back then. Highlight was a big thing. And then
Yeah.
also in high school, I remembered I two teachers I cannot forget. His name was Mr. DeCaro. He was the English teacher, and Miss Habisham was the reading teacher. So what Mr. DeCaro did was he said anybody who could find, I think it was the New York Post. If you take the newspaper, because we couldn't read the New York Times. So he said, if you take the New York Post, what was the other one? The Brooklyn one. There was a New York Post. There was another
Yeah.
one.
Uh-huh.
He said, if you take that newspaper, take any article, and then if you read it, you summarize it, you get $1. If you take
Okay. Great
vocabulary word,
incentive.
if you take
Yeah.
vocabulary words and you put it into a sentence, you get another $1. So I went for it. Well, the
I
group that I
love it.
was in went for it because in high school there's like certain group you had to be in the popular group or
Yeah.
you had to be in the group nobody pays attention to. So I
Right.
was in the group nobody pays attention to because we weren't popular. We weren't
Yes.
popular. So us, we did the lesson, and you know what? Our vocabulary improved. Reading improved. So those kind of work. And Miss Havisham, she used to give me something, and if I clown around, he's like, "No, now Sandra Jerome, don't make me call Mr. Jerome." And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." So that having knowing my teacher had authority over me
Mm,
really put really helped me shape who I
yeah.
am also today, because I couldn't talk back to her and say, "You don't talk like that
Yes.
to me. You're not my parent."
Right.
So yeah.
Yes. So having that respect for your teacher helped you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Excellent.
because
Okay.
having a respect for teacher, if you didn't do the project and then you went to the teacher and you say, "Well, I didn't finish. Can I have a little bit more time?" So the way you present yourself to the teacher matters. Like, okay, you know what? I'll give you a couple days. But if you went all, because there were students that went to them all rude and sassy, and they're like, "No." No, they're like,
Right.
"Well, how come you gave Sandra time and you playing favoritism?" He's like, the teachers sometimes say, "I'm not playing favoritism." She knew she wasn't going to have enough time. She came ahead of time and say, "Can she have it?" She showed her work. We see what she's trying to get in progress, but you decide don't do it and you want extra time. So
Right.
if you in
Okay.
school, you need to be responsible for your
Right.
work.
Okay, Miss Sandra. Your educational philosophy emphasizes the importance of parental involvement in a child's education. So, can you share some practical tips on how parents can support their children's learning at home?
Okay. So as I told you guys before, my dad, my dad spoke English, but I wouldn't say it was what I'm speaking. So he understood. So I know that as a teacher, I would say, "But Dad, when I was growing up, what was the most difficult thing for you to deal with?" And he said, "Well, I couldn't help you with schoolwork." And I asked my brother, who's a computer engineer, and then his oldest son was 4, fluent in French reading, but when he came here, he was failing kindergarten. And my brother said, "I wish I understood the school system." So parental involvement, I say, you don't have to have a master degree or engineer. All it takes is one little thing at a time. For example, right? If you have a kindergartner, if you let's start even lower than kindergartner. You have a 4-year-old. She or he is getting dressed. Well, what would you like to wear today? A dress or pants? So you just put the vocabulary word. Well, what color would you like to wear? So those basic things that we talk to our
Yeah.
children daily, they repeat what we said. I'll give you an example. My grandson is going to be 3 in March. So he's learning his colors. And recently he's like, "Oh, Mimi, your kitchen is orange." So you see the connection? Because
Yeah.
we have talked about colors. We
Colors.
talk
Yeah.
about colors. When we go for a walk, we look for colors. So now he's making connection. So when you help at home, like what color you want to wear today, when you go for a walk, colors this house? You
Yeah.
reinforcing colors. Or
Excellent.
what color is this car? Or what shape is the sidewalk? What shape do you see the roof look like? Oh, I see a triangle. So do your parental involvement based on the age of the child. You
Right.
could go for a walk in the community. They could see flowers. They could see lake, and you could have a whole conversation. Different age, different conversation. At
All right.
home, you making pancake. Well, what do we need? We need eggs. We need flour. We need water. They go math with the measurement and
Yes.
with the reading. How many eggs did we put? How much flour did we put? What did we do? Oh, we mixed it. We
Excellent.
stir it. There we go. We
Yes.
got mix and we got stir. So you're building the vocabulary.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, It's time for a short break for a few commercials, and we'll get right back to our interview. To learn more about the Jamaican American Association of Central Florida's many initiatives, events, and causes, go to jaaocf.com. Visit thisisjamaica.org to learn more about what we're doing for the children of Jamaica. Remember to tune in to CRRFM Radio Network, where you will get a little bit of everything. To purchase my book of poetry, Still We Smile, written under the pseudonym Joan M. Scott Lewis, go to Amazon.com or text 321-439-2130 to get your signed copy. Let's get back to our conversation. And you published a guide. I have to talk about this. I didn't want to miss it.
Okay.
You published a guidebook on parental involvement and created educational videos to help children who are struggling in school. So, what sparked your interest in creating these resources, and how do you hope they'll impact your community?
Well, I'm hoping it will impact anybody who could use it. So this
Yeah,
is my book. This
beautiful.
is this is
Yes,
my book.
love
It's
the
called
cover.
Parental Involvement Made Easy. It's a
Mm,
guide. So I came about this book because when the kids come to me, whether it's kindergarten, first grade, second grade, they always lack of a lot. And I'm like, why? Why if a child did kindergarten, first grade, when they get to second grade, they still lack of kindergarten skills? So I'm like, what is it? And then having a talk with my dad, again, he said, well, maybe the parents don't know. Maybe the parents don't know.
I
So
see.
he always says, you cannot give something you don't know. Or did I say it wrong? You cannot give
Yeah,
something
you're
you don't
right.
have, or you cannot teach something
You don't
you
know.
don't know. Something to that aspect what he said in Creole. I said, well,
Mhm.
that makes sense. So I created a book where I talk about, okay, if your child is in kindergarten, this is what covered in school. So if you have an idea as a parent what's covered in school, so you doing your parental involvement, you are putting something in there for them to learn. So I put what a first kindergartner should learn, what a first grader should learn, what a second grader, because once I give you the foundation, what these kids need to know on each level. When they get to third grade, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about that gap, closing a gap. You don't have to worry about them failing because you have already have an idea what need to know. So how
Exactly.
would it help the community? I'm hoping that I'm hoping that because inside the book, there's a place for you to write what your kids know, what your kids don't know. So I'm hoping that any parent who reads it will say, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know that. So then you could work on that at home.
Yes,
So
yes.
the book is English. I have it translated in Spanish because we have a lot of kids, Haitian kids who are mixed Spanish now, and I'm having it done in Creole.
Great.
So
That's a great idea, that book. Now, as a teacher of Haitian descent, you make a point of teaching Haitian children about their culture and heritage. So, why
mhm.
is cultural preservation so important to you, and how do you incorporate it into your teaching practice?
Growing up, there was nothing like go to the countryside with my grandma to spend
Yeah.
some time. And because when you live in the city, the capital, it's
Hmm.
like you just school and you got to be proper. But when when we go to the countryside, the mountainside, oh, you're free. So I used to love traveling with her. And but in New York, when I was a teenager in New York, I remember on Saturdays, my dad used to make us go to, it's like a community. We go And when we get there, they would teach us the history of Haiti, talk about
Yeah.
all the war, people that fought for the country and what it means. And then later on, they used to teach us folklore dance. And I still have two left feet, but I used to never could dance, but I used to love the rhythm, the beat. So I
Yeah.
always loved that. And of course, at home, we didn't do McDonald's and stuff like that. We ate home cooking food. So I like that. Even though I have to say it was pretty challenging growing up as a teenager in New York because you couldn't say you were Haitian. For some
Right.
reason, it was like a stigma. It was something
Yeah.
bad. And because of that, I failed a lot of
Shame.
classes because I say I was Haitian. The other children, the other students in college they were from Martinique, they were from Guadeloupe, they were from everywhere but Haiti. And they
Yeah.
got better
I
grades.
admire
But
you though for telling them you are from Haiti,
so
not allowing anyone to make you not say where you're from or be proud
But
of who you
but
are.
but what's so funny is they'll meet with us and they'll chat and
Mhm.
and then but the minute when it comes to grade, they're like, "Oh, I'm from Martinique." Oh no, I'm from Martinique. Not Martinican. Stop it. So it was all
Yeah.
that. What I try.
Prejudice. Yeah.
So it was a little bit of that. So
Yes.
now as I got older, I'm like, hey, I got a lot to be appreciated for. I love my culture. I like our music. I like our food.
Of course.
So now my kids, so when they first see me, they see me as a regular Black teacher.
Right.
And then the minute I open my mouth and say something in Creole, they're like,
Oh, she's one of
you're
us.
like
That's wonderful. Yeah. For the
you're like my grandma. You
yeah.
you're like my mom. I'm like, yes,
Oh my gosh.
yes.
Thank you,
And then,
Sandra.
go ahead.
Again, I got to move on because we have more questions for you. Now, you've had some memorable moments in your teaching career. Can you share
Uh-huh.
a story that really stands out and what made it impactful?
Okay.
I mean, I worked,
Um,
so I know I have some and we have some together, but go ahead.
I I went I went to church. It was recently. I was at church
Uh-huh.
and we were leaving. Well, I was leaving because my husband had to work. I was leaving and there was somebody that was close by and I said, "You have a blessed day." And she said, "Oh, you too." And she looked at me and she says, "Are you Miss Jerome?" I was a little bit hesitant to answer. And I'm like, "Yes." She's like, I seen you a couple times in church. I seen you, in church. Are you a member here? I said, yes, I am a member here. And she's like, but I wasn't sure it was you. So my daughter said it was you, but I wasn't sure. She's like, oh my God, my daughter talks about you. She adores you. She was in your first grade class at Hawasi. I'm like, who was that? I
Yeah.
had so many. So she's like, oh my God, she's in 11th grade. She's gonna graduate soon. She's at top of the student. She always says she couldn't be a reader without you. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
oh my God. And that's the impact I want to have because remember
Yeah.
what I said before, there were teachers at my high school that had an impact on me, and I want the same thing.
Right.
So another thing that made me about teaching is it's happened this week. I have one kid at the beginning of the year struggle to read, wouldn't touch a book. So I've been telling him, take this book and read, take this book and read. So this week he read a book. He had 100 on AR. So I don't know how many parents know what AR is. I'll tell you in a minute. And then he read a second book. He had an AR. Third book, he had 100. So he had like the chill. Like, what's the matter with you? It's called reading
So
fever. He's
excited.
like, reading fever. I'm like, yes, when you weren't sure you could read, so now you see you could read, that is called reading fever. So we were heading for lunch. I'm like, okay, let's go. We're landing for lunch. I'm like, child, agree. Do you mind? But it was just that. he was hungry. I don't know what is that
Yeah,
word I'm looking for, but he finally figured out he could
that
read. He could,
aha moment, they call it.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, a
Aha.
ha-ha moment.
Yes, I
So
got it.
yes.
Indeed. Miss
So
Rome, listen, we're going to continue, but we may have to come off the radio because 2 o'clock is
okay.
time for that. But we'll continue because we have to continue with all the wonderful things you're sharing. All right, you've got
Okay.
so much to tell us. But tell the audience how they can reach you before
Okay.
we come off the radio.
So I do, like Miss Jones said before, I do have a YouTube channel. Yes, even though majority, this is how I do it. So I do the video based on a lesson a child might need, first grade, second grade, and I'll do the explanation in English and Creole. However, the lesson is done in English for the kids to follow. So you could go on YouTube under Miss Jerome-Severe. Jerome is Jerome-Severe. If you don't want to leave space, you might find it, but you will find me on YouTube. And I create
Excellent.
tons of videos for the kids for them to do simple review that they might struggle with in class.
Your current projects include creating the guidebook, as we mentioned, for parents to understand IEP meetings and writing a series of daily practice reading books for children. So tell us again, what drives this passion that you have for being so creative and creating all these resources? And how do you think that these things will actually benefit your community?
Well, recently, the like I said, the parental book is just trying to figure out, you know, because you cannot give your child something you don't know. So, and then as a parent, whether you're coming from Haiti or even England, if you don't understand how the school system work here, you will not be able to help your child. So
Right.
I think that having something to tell you, oh, you mean this is, I know it's different in New York. So now you could go to the teacher and say, hey, can I have like an outline to tell me what my child needs to learn? Because I'm
Right.
sure Florida, Florida's kindergarten, they're so close. So they're not
Yeah.
that much of a gap, like
Yeah.
this, what's that word I'm looking for? Like differences in
Discrepancy?
learning, right? So that's why. So the IEP book I want to do is because recently I volunteered to translate for a parent,
Yeah.
and then in the middle of the meeting, so they said, well, based on the um service that your child been receiving, what would you say, what improvement did you see your child do at home or in school? And the parents say, well, between 1 to 10, I will give him an 8.
Right.
And then I retranslate again. I say, they're not really looking for a number. They want you to express yourself. What gain do you see in that child? What progress? And then
Right.
again, he went between 10, I will give him 8 out of 10. So I'm like, how much did he understand? Does he even understand what the IEP stand for? Because the child had speech, you should have focused on saying, this is what I noticed with speech, or this is what I'm not noticing. This is what I'm noticing with his classes, with his ESE
Yeah.
education classes. This is what I'm not noticing. So I feel like there was like a language barrier, even though I'm translating, but he didn't understand it. So me writing a guidebook to let you know what is your right as a parent. You
Yeah.
could bring your own translator if you didn't know that. You can, what does it consist of? How long does it take to
Mm.
do, things that we just don't know. They just call us for the
Exactly.
meeting and we just go. But
Yeah.
if you go prepared, knowing what's in take, then there's certain question you can ask as a parent. I don't
Perfect.
know if that makes sense.
It's a wonderful, wonderful idea of yours to do that
Yeah,
because
so the
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so many parents, as we know, really don't know, especially
Yeah.
parents from other countries outside of the U.S., the ESOL
Yes.
parents, they just don't know what their rights are. So that's
I,
great.
hmm I don't know about Jamaica or the other countries that speak English, but
Right.
in Haiti, we do not have it, unfortunately. I don't know. I left a long time. But I know if you have a child with disability, the school system in Haiti doesn't have nothing for children for ESC
No
children.
resources. Yeah.
So I know, so if you have a child that comes here, and you don't have to come with a child here with disability, you could have a child that have ADHD. So
Yeah.
what is that? Or is it autism? What does that consist of?
Yeah.
It's a taboo in our culture. Oh, my child, I must have done something wrong. Maybe I didn't pray hard enough. No, honey, it has nothing to do
To do
with
with that.
you don't trust God or he's punishing you. No, it
Hmm.
has nothing to do with that. And if we know how to accept the disability, if we know what the child could benefit from the services, then your child is gonna be
Yeah.
greatly be successful in school.
And Jerome, I just want to say we need more teachers like you, to fill that gap, that,
Mm,
that huge gap with those parents who really need extra help. And so we appreciate that you are doing that, and there are other teachers like you who care enough to do that for our parents. Now, your message of encouragement to parents is one of hope and faith. Can you elaborate on what you mean? Because you said this to me, trusting and believing in a child's
mm.
potential rather, and how parents can apply this mindset in their own lives.
You know, um, you know, word is a very powerful thing. And what you say to a child, you could have two children. There's one you praise and you you look up to and you like this child. And we have
Yes,
children,
yes,
and if you have two children or three children, how one you could see how you are with one. Well, not everybody's like that. But as experience for myself, as for
yeah,
myself, you could have two children, the one that you say, oh man, she's gonna be something tomorrow.
yeah,
And when that child goes to school, the way they look at things is different from the child
yeah. Builds
that's
confidence.
struggling,
Yeah,
struggling,
yes,
don't learn the same way as the other child. And you say, oh, you always doing something wrong. You don't listen. You don't follow direction. That child, those two children will have two different pathway in life.
yeah,
And the word that we use with our children matters. So if you praise one way, you should praise the other one the same way, because word matters. So if you tell the child, I know you got this, I know we I got you, we're gonna work together, we're gonna do this, the child's gonna have a different mindset.
absolutely,
My
absolutely.
mom is gonna help me. We got this. Mom got peas on the table to show me what 2 plus 5, and then
Yeah,
I'm seeing it. Yes, but
Sandra,
whereas you say, huh?
even as teachers too. I mean, I remember in my class, I would tell each group of kids that I heard that they were the best.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of believed it, I'm like,
Yes.
really? Yeah, you're the best behaved in the school.
Mm-hmm.
You're the best, so speak that positive,
Yes.
into them about them being the smartest, the best.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, they,
Because it's all is our pastor always say that too, is what you say matters. Like
yes,
I would tell
information.
recently, uh-huh, recently one of my students, they write sentence in the morning with a sight
Yeah.
word. So
Mm-hmm.
he said I am a follower, and the kids went, oh. And then I told him, oh, I'm a follower, but he finished the sentence. I said, wow, I love your sentence because it sounds like a second grader sentence. I mean, it was flawless. Did you start with did you start with capital letter? He's like, yes. I said, oh, awesome. Did you have space? So I went on and on to show him how much I appreciate his sentence. And
Yes.
then when the kids went, oh, I said, but however, you're not a follower. What do we all say we are in the classroom? And the kids say a leader. I say, you are a leader. So I say, your sentence is great, but I just want to let you know, you're not a follower. Because what does a follower does? And they do the wrong thing, they get in trouble. And I say, but a leader. And then, so you see how I phrase it? I didn't
Yes.
want him to feel bad, the fact that, he wrote he's a follower.
Because
But then
the
he
sentence
said,
was
but I,
well written.
yeah, it was well written. So, so yeah. So, and then, yeah, so it's the same thing for our kids. If your child is struggling, every child is different. You have to find out the
Yeah.
niche for each child. This one learned by memorization, then you work on that one. This one learned by doing, then you got to help that one that way. So, but also back to the parents, the word you use for yourself also impact you. If you, as a woman,
Yeah.
you feel powerful, you feel, you could conquer, whatever that desire you put in your mind, you can do it. Same for a man. But if you're like, oh, oh, this is blocking me. I have kids, I don't have time. And then you do find where you do not have the time. You do find where you frustrated. But if the word that you put within yourself,
Mhm.
and it's positive, not everything is glory every time, but if you try to be as positive as you can, you would have a different outlook as a parent. Because if you feel good, you treat your child good.
That's
You
right.
have a different conversation with your child.
Yes.
But if you're always mad, if you're always angry, you will take that out on your child. And sometimes when they get a little older, they will say, you're always mad.
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't want to hear it, but that's the truth.
Yes. And sometimes, the parents need to take care of themselves.
Yes.
Okay, we always say that, don't we? Take care of yourself
Yes.
first so that you can be help to someone else.
Just like when you get on the airplane, what did they tell
Yeah.
you? Put your mask on first
First.
before
Yeah.
you put the mask on somebody else. Yeah.
Wonderful advice you're giving us. All right, this is a question I have not asked. So I'm going to ask
Mhm.
you now, is there anything that I have not asked you that you'd really like our audience to know?
Mm, no, no, I just want to tell the parents it's not easy, whether you speak English or not,
Mm-hmm.
coming from a different country. It's not easy. The transition is not easy for you. The transition is not easy for the kids. Don't assume because they're kids, the transition is okay for them. Because remember, they leave what they had, what they know all their lives, and they moving with you. So the same way it's not easy for you, it's difficult for you, take that in consideration for the kids also, and then go to the teachers, and ask for help. Ask for help. The help is there. Ask for help. Go say, hey, I'm struggling. What can I do at home? Don't feel like you have to take this road by yourself,
Yes.
and then, ask your church. Ask your church. And that's my next goal, is to take these books and go to different Haitian churches and say, hey, you know, I'm here. You could
Yeah.
email me on YouTube and tell me what you're struggling with, and I'll try find a way. So you don't have to do this journey by yourself. You get the support that you need. That's one thing about America. The support is there. I don't know about how it is in Jamaica, but
Yeah.
I know the support is there. Right now, my country is crazy and upside down, but the help is here. Here,
Yes.
the help is here. But if you don't ask, you cannot
Cannot
receive.
receive. Amen.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so, so much, Miss Sandra, for taking
Thank
time
you.
to speak to us today, for sharing your story, your experiences, and your passions with us. Your unique journey as an educator,
Mhm.
an advocate, and community leader serves as an inspiration and motivation for others. And we are all reminded that education is the key to unlocking endless possibilities. And with persistence, faith, and support, as you mentioned, we can
Yeah.
achieve our dreams. So thank you again. And may we all continue to uplift and empower one another, especially our children. Thank you
Yes,
for coming.
yes. And thank you for this wonderful opportunity to
Oh,
be
it's a
here today.
pleasure.
Appreciate it very much.
Yes, you know I love you, my friend.
Love you too.
God bless.
Okay.
All for one, we're not alone. Black and proud, we set the tone. Community chat with Mrs. Jones. Community chat with Mrs. Jones.